Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi barakatuh, my dear brothers, sisters, friends, and the foes out there, and welcome to another episode of the Blood Brothers podcast with your host, Dilly Hussain. Before I introduce today's guest, I'm going to remind all the avid podcast listeners that you can find this show on all the major audio platforms. And if you are tuning in via YouTube, don't be cheeky, click subscribe to the Five Pillars YouTube channel. Today's guest is someone who is very widely known, especially in the UK context. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. He's a nasheed artist. He is an influencer. He hails, I believe, from the Midlands, and we'll find out very shortly exactly where. And that's none other than our dear brother, Khaled Siddiq. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for having me.
The honor is mine, my brother. So I'm correct, somewhere in the Midlands, right?
Yes, Leicester. Yeah.
Is that hometown?
Leicester City, born and bred. Yeah. I've only been in London for like past since the beginning of lockdown. That's when I moved.
So you're actually. Many people thought you were a Londoner.
No. How long?
Bro.
Never straight. Well, even the way I say it, London, innit?
Yeah.
I don't say London. That's how you guys say it. No, I'm straight from Leicester City. Alhamdulillah.
What led to the move down south then?
I think just for my career and just like it's the center of everything, and it just started to become difficult. I also think that every man should leave like the city where he was born. Do you know what I mean? Just to go and put yourself into the world. And I mean, it's not for everybody, but I felt very necessary for me at the time. So when I go back to my city now, it feels like I've really outgrown it. Alhamdulillah, it's still my home and will always be that. But yeah, I don't think I could live anywhere else.
Where's your heritage? What's your heritage?
So my dad's Jamaican and my mum's Irish.
Wicked.
So alhamdulillah.
You ever been Jamaica?
Yes, but only recently, like 2018. So it was quite late in my life where I got there and I had, the experience of the homeland. But alhamdulillah, it was beautiful.
Alhamdulillah. Khaled, listen, I know you've done interviews before. I know you've done podcasts before. So there's very likelihood that we're going to cover subjects which you've covered in the past.
Yeah.
And I know we briefly spoke about that via WhatsApp when we connected.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like going over old conversations.
Yeah, it's fun, yeah.
Because sometimes you have refreshing perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some of the interviews that you've done. Sometimes there's areas perhaps where the interviewer didn't probe on or miss something out. So forgive me in advance, my brother.
No,
if you feel like, yo, hold on, man, where's Dilly's research on me, man? Sometimes I do that just because it's the first time you're on Five Pillars. It's the first time you're on this podcast. So to many people, this will be a fresh face. But by your fans who are tuning in, of course. Yeah. So you're a Muslim convert?
I'm actually born Muslim.
Muslim?
Yeah. Both my parents are reverts. So
Subhanallah.
Quite rare.
I didn't know that, bro.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
So your Jamaican father and your Irish mother were converts?
Yes.
Alhamdulillah. Tell me a bit about that.
So my dad converted when he was 19. He was like the first black man in Leicester to like take his shahada. Alhamdulillah. And he was like, full 9. He was like, wearing the turban and the jubba going. Yeah, we even had a stick, my mum was telling me. He's like, he just went, and I think he studied in what's that place in up north?
Darul Uloom.
Yeah, you go.
Dewsbury.
Yeah.
So he was influenced by the Tablighi Jamaat and Deoband. Easy.
I think it was Maulana Salim.
Okay, Maulana Salim. Okay.
Who he took his shahada with.
Subhanallah.
So that was, and then I guess that just led to him going to Darul Uloom. And then my mum was 26 when roughly around there when she met him, and then she was already open to it, and then obviously they got together, and alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
Wicked, man. And how was it growing up as a Muslim of mixed heritage? Of Bait mixed heritage?
Yeah, it was difficult, I'm not going to lie, especially in Leicester, where it's like a heavy, kind of Eastern Asian, Southeast Asian kind of population. Because I guess when you're a kid, it's just, everything's very simple. It's like, for example, white people are Christians, Asians are either Muslims or Hindus or Sikhs, whatever. And it's like, all right, so and look, the mixed race kids that I was interacting with, or the black kids that I was playing, obviously they were Christian as well. So it was never I don't know. It was a weird kind of way growing up, because obviously we understood anybody could be Muslim.
Yeah.
On paper it made sense, and what our mum was telling us and stuff. But when we're out and we're interacting in the environment, and it's like, I would see like a black Muslim or a mixed race Muslim like once every, like, I don't know, like it's once in a blue moon.
Because it's a demographic thing there, right?
Of course, yeah.
So how many times growing up, actually the school that you went to, was it predominantly South Asian?
Yeah, I was bad. So I got moved to a lot of different schools. So I went to about 5 or 6 different primary schools.
So the schools that you recollect,
yeah.
did they have heavy Asian Muslim population?
Yes, yeah.
So either Gujarati, mainly Gujarati
or
Pakistani.
Yeah.
And what was that experience, bro? Growing up, being a Muslim of mixed heritage, so naturally these Asian kids who, bro, growing up, obviously, look, growing up in the UK, 60-70% of Muslims are either Pakistani or Bangladeshi, right?
Yeah.
So there's already that demographic majority element to it.
Yeah.
So really, you think to yourself, if anyone doesn't look like us, they're not Muslim. Generally speaking, if the guy's white, then he's definitely a non-Muslim.
Obviously, they're kids as well.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's not like
kids.
they're gonna have that, you know.
Exactly, that kind of nuanced approach,
exactly.
bruv. People don't have nuanced approach at the age of 40, 50, bruv. You understand? Yeah.
True,
so how was that? That must have been jarring.
Yeah, no,
man.
I had kids telling me straight up, like, yeah, you're not Muslim.
Oh, raw.
Like, you have to be this or that, and they're just talking from their perspective. But obviously, as a kid, I would like, I'd fight back and say, yeah, anybody could be Muslim, but I guess what that was kind of sowing the seeds initially, as me growing up, was the one, resilience, and also just knowledge of what true Islam is, rather than it being a cultured thing. I had to, because I'm getting pushed back on it so much about my identity and whatever, I had to really kind of own the fact that I'm a Muslim, and because anybody can be Muslim, and I know there's Chinese Muslims, and I know there's Black Muslims in Africa, and I know all these kind of, and that kind of was kind of happening within me at the time. I didn't know it, and it kind of was annoying in the beginning, and I felt like, oh, why are we following a religion that's not for us, whatever, in the beginning. But yeah, alhamdulillah, in hindsight, I see the wisdom that Allah was sort of instilling at me at that point.
Tell me some of the things that you recollect, whether in school or otherwise, where people questioned your Muslimness because you aren't Asian or brown.
Yeah, so there's one school I went to, and that was like, I'm pretty sure I was the only mixed race. Sorry, there was one other guy, and he became a close friend. Boston, shout out Boston.
Big
He was black. He wasn't Muslim, but he was my guy. I think I was the only mixed race kid in the school. I think it was just like 99% like Southeast Asian, like Gujarati or Pakistani or whatever. And I remember one time that I was playing with. In fact, there were some kids, and they were Hindu and Muslim. And then there was one kid that was saying that he was both. I remember, and I was like, "No, you can't be both." And he was like, obviously, I don't know if his mom was Muslim and his dad was Hindu or something like that. And he's saying, "Yeah, I'm both." And I'm like, "No," like I was a little flippy. I was like, "No, Dad, you can't do that. You have to believe in one thing." And he's like, "No, I do both. I celebrate Eid and I celebrate this as well." I'm thinking, so I'm getting bet. And then there was
you get ready to make takfir on him. You're ready, yeah?
No, I was going mad. I was like, what year was this? Okay,
God.
Junior.
But I've heard half Muslim, half Christian, but half Muslim, half Hindu's a mad one, isn't it?
I was mad. I was like, what the hell are you on about? And then I was like, year 3. So I don't know how old
you were a bit young, bro, about 6, 7.
Yeah. So I'm going mad at this guy, and then another guy, one of his friends, comes in. And he's like, yeah, but you're not even Muslim though, because like you're black.
Oh, right.
So I was like, what are you on about? And he's like, black people, and then he's saying like they're normally this or this or this, like they're not Muslim. And I was just obviously I'm going off at him as well, but it's just like, just fighting for your own identity. It's difficult. Do you know what I'm saying? But then that's kind of, I don't know. I mean, like I say again, in hindsight, I can see it's just built the resilience in me now where. There's nothing anyone can say to me that's going to make me feel any type of way. But it's because of these small moments throughout my life. But alhamdulillah, yeah.
Bro, it's going to be inevitable, though, you know that?
Of course, yeah.
Because, look, bro, just introducing you, I made the assumption that you were a convert.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
I did not know that you were born Muslim parents, right?
Yeah.
And so, subhanAllah, whenever you're a demographic minority, so I'm sure... Actually, no, I don't think a South Asian would experience that in France, where the majority are Maghrebis or West African. But
I don't know, potentially.
Yeah. But I can understand why it would in the UK, because you would automatically assume incorrectly that because next man's brown, he has, especially if he's South Asian, he's either going to be Hindu, Sikh or Muslim. And you look for certain signs and stuff like that.
I mean, and I think I would do the same. Like even at me now, I might, if I'm talking to a white brother and he's Muslim, chances are I'm going to assume he's a revert. Could possibly not.
Yeah.
My mom's white. She could have easily married a white guy, and then so it's just it's if the majority, 95% of the cases or 9% of the cases, it's just lazy, isn't it? It's not like it's like because it's just like, all right, it's through conversations. Like, I just assume this. I'm not going to be like, well, maybe your pronouns this and that. Like, it's just like, all right, yeah, you're probably a revert. Or you're not. Okay, that's a nice.
Are there certain ways of asking though? Without coming across ignorant.
Yeah, I guess that there were. Well, of asking, what are you a revert?
No, are you a revert? Is there a way? First of all, what's your views on the revert convert thing?
In terms of what?
The label. Do you prefer revert? Do you prefer convert?
Oh yeah, because okay, revert is your revert into your
natural fitrah.
Convert and is your changing
Yeah.
something. So I guess I'd feel more comfortable with revert.
Easy.
However, I don't know how I feel about the thing that everyone's born Muslim.
Yeah.
Like,
so that's the whole debate, isn't it? So
yeah, it's like yes, my kind of position is everyone is born with a natural disposition to acknowledge that there's a creator. But in terms of like you know, understanding that you need to submit your will to this creator, and that is what Islam is, and then that's what you are as a Muslim.
And the commands and the prohibitions.
Yeah, that's not just like, oh yeah, I woke up and I'm praying my 5 times. It's like no, you have something there, and then you nurture it, and then you become Muslim.
Alhamdulillah, definitely.
So I think revert would probably be the best, for me anyway. What
cultural aspects?
There was quite a few different. Obviously, you got the Barelvis, and then you got
the Deobandis.
Who are the brothers that do the thing where they knock from door to door and they do the
Tablighi Jamaat?
Yeah, they have that. They're different.
They're the same thing. So Tablighi Jamaat is the missionary wing of the Deobandis.
Okay. And I did that a few times.
Easy, respect to you. May Allah accept it from you, bro.
And it's interesting now. You know, obviously, alhamdulillah, I know about the different groups now. But looking back in my life, as a kind of not ignorant, but it's like you don't know anything. It's like, oh wow, I was chilling with them, and then I was doing that. Oh, that's what they were doing there, and da. But for me, it was just all Muslim.
Yeah.
So I never really differentiated in terms of like, this is a group here, this is a group. I just, my mom used to just, if there was any every time an opportunity or something where I could be around Muslims. At the same time, my mom didn't have an immense amount of knowledge about the deen either. It was just about, you are Muslim, and being in the mosque is good, praying is good. Just be around Muslims. I say it's not gonna be like, oh, be around this group or be around that group. I had to learn that, unfortunately, about the different kind of groups and stuff like that. So growing up, I'd spend time with the Tablighi brothers. Yeah. Because I would never do the 40-day thing. It's like a little, nice little weekend. Start on Friday, end on Monday, whatever. I used to, to be honest, that was some of my. Because you just spend it in the mosque all day.
It's a beautiful thing to do.
Get away from whatever the thing is around the group or whatever.
Khidmah to the mosque, khidmah to the people.
You're in your thing. You're staying there. Every prayer's on time. You're eating there with the brothers. You're spending all the time talking about a lot. Like, it's a great thing. So I really enjoyed that kind of the period when I was doing that. And then I guess it was as I kind of got older, I started to realize, I was like, oh wait, all these Muslims ain't the same. I was like,
some of them believed in certain things.
And I was like, well, some people are coming with a different energy, and it was the ones that were coming with the confident energy that, yo, this is the way and every other way is wrong. And naturally, if you're a person that doesn't know and someone speaking with a lot of confidence, it's like, well, this guy knows it sounds like he knows what he's talking about, and he's got a lot of passion as well.
So this would be one of the hallmarks of the modern day Salafi dawah. So just before you came with Sheikh Asrar, you met him on the way out. So one of the conversation topics was the effectiveness of the Salafi dawah in the English language. So that energy you're talking about is somewhat synonymous with the dawah of the 90s. When you had all of a sudden these groups, mainly the Salafis and HT, like second, third generation British Muslims in English, that are not Barelvi Sufi or Tablighi Jamaat guys. Wow, these guys sound cool.
And it's exciting as well. And I feel like it naturally lends its way to humans' disposition to be inclined to things that are exciting. And if all of a sudden you've been told like, oh no, you're this special group, and you need to kind of condemn everybody else, and because the time's coming, it's like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's when you think about real.
So did you have a Salafi phase?
Of course. Who didn't? Who didn't? But you know what? I mean, like I say, it is what it is. But I'm never in a situation. I see good in everything.
Alhamdulillah.
And to even maybe to a controversial level where it's like there'll be any group that you be like, oh no, these men are definitely done for. They're like, no, I can sit and I'll listen to a 2-hour lecture from them, and I will take the good. And I will leave what I don't necessarily, because I don't even know that the bad is the bad. I just whatever knowledge Allah has given me, I will use that and be like, that don't really sit well with what sits well with me. Maybe I might learn something later on down the line. But I definitely kind of went through that phase. But now I can see it in retrospect, it was all based from fear, right? So it's the fear initially of, is God even there? Like that's a huge thing, especially if you're a person like me, have constant existential crises and things about very deep topics, and to the point where like it's like my mental health has been like on the line, not because of like depression or that, no, because I'm trying to understand what is the fabric of reality and what is even going on, what is this human experience that we're having. So it's fear as well, because like, what if they're right? You know, like, 'cause I don't think there's anything more terrifying about the atheist narrative in terms of not necessarily about their political or anything like that. Just in terms of like, what are you saying that when we die, it's an eternity of blackness?
yeah,
And I'm like, are you all right? Even
Yeah.
even if you were correct, how are you not losing your mind right
Yeah.
now? Because I'm telling you now, if that was the case, I would not be here by my own will.
100%.
I am not. For what? For what? What?
100%.
What am I here suffering and just struggling with life and thinking about these things? And it's like, oh yeah, it's just all for nothing. By the way,
All for just matter. It's all
I'm
matter.
finding the. I don't obviously. I don't talk about. You
No,
know,
no. So what
but
is?
I'd end it. I'd 1,000,000% end it. People that I see, people that I see living their day-to-day lives without God in it at all, they have my utmost respect. Because I'm like, I could not do that. I would never do that. Because I'm checking out.
As the people who don't have a concept of God in their life.
Anything. Like what
But they've made themselves God, bro.
I mean, I guess that maybe that's what kind of brings them through. Because
Yeah.
I think if you were to sit and meditate and reflect upon that reality that you're suggesting,
Yeah.
there's no way you're going
It's
to
a madness,
continue
of course.
to
No, no,
continue.
It's not
So-
sustainable.
So that's my fear. So all I wanted to get kind of done in the beginning was I need to know that God's real. I don't care who it is at this point. I don't bother God. But let me know that there is something that we need to dedicate ourselves to, and there's something after this life. And then obviously that led me to watching all of the debates on YouTube. There's literally not a debate I've not watched.
So there's Sufi Salafi debates.
No. Does God exist?
so-
So I would listen to Christian people that would debate. These.
Did you listen to Ahmed Didat,
Yeah. But that was kind of like
Zakir Naik,
afterwards. But like
Hamza Zorsis?
all of them. Yeah. But like I say, I was even going into like, people of what are them man called?
Jews, Christians,
No.
atheists,
Beyond that,
Zoroastrians, Hindus, Sikhs,
no, there's
agnostics.
no, it's not any of them. There's a
Bro,
group of people. It's like meditative. They're called like
Buddhists,
there's one guy called,
Hare Krishna folk.
There's one guy called, I don't know if you heard of Adyashanti. He's one
Adyashanti.
guy. There's another guy called Muji.
No.
He's but these are like I don't know, what is their thing
Yo,
called? They're like gurus.
Yeah, okay.
But it's not.
They sound spicy, bruv.
Yeah, but they were talking about some real stuff, and if you listen to it, because again, all I wanted at that point, this is maybe around 14, 15, I just need to know that God's real. We'll work out the religion thing next. Let me know that God's real first, and then we'll move on to.
So you're saying there was a window where you were somewhat disillusioned?
Yeah, of course, yeah, because I was like, all right, so at least even this, and this was a terrifying thought. I was like, maybe like 13, 14, I was like, yeah, obviously Islam's true, and I was like, wait, because there's definitely like a Hindu out there somewhere, my age, sitting in his sofa now thinking, yeah, obviously Hinduism's true, because I'm like, and there's definitely a Christian, and there's definitely a Jew. And I was like, what are the chances that I've just happened to be given the correct religion? I'm like, no,
For eternal salvation.
And
Yeah.
again, and listen what when Ricky Gervais, he says, he's got a little piece, and then he talks about how this is why he doesn't believe in God, because it's also geographical in terms of like, if you're born in whatever India, you're going to be Hindu. If you're born in Jamaica, you're going to be a Rasta. If you're born in this, so it's like, isn't it so coincidental that your God is the right God? But then I think what he doesn't, and obviously this is where Islam changes the narrative that he's given, is because no, Muslims are everywhere, bro.
Absolutely everywhere.
No, it's not. Obviously, yeah, it started in Arabia. But I'm in Jamaica and I'm talking with Jamaican Muslims, and I'm seeing them, and I don't know, I've never met them before. He's given salam, and there's such a beautiful warm embrace. Would you think a Christian from like Italy sees another Christian in, I don't know, what, China's like, oh, what,
Nah.
Christ as well? Yeah,
Wallah.
no, because they've got their own thing that they do.
Wallah, bro. That vibe only exists with Muslims.
Exactly,
Only exists with
1,000,000%. So I had
Muslims.
to kind of slowly kind of come to this, and that's how I kind of came to the fact. I was like, but then that started the thing of like, okay, so how do I know this is true? Then I was like, how do I know that God is true? And then obviously some of these atheists are like, these kind of professors or whatever, like, if you don't really know about whatever, they can be quite convincing.
Of course they can.
Especially when they're using all these big words.
Big words and science. If you don't have like a basic grounding in the fundamentals of your usul and your deen, then yeah, the atheist will sound across very super smart, right?
And obviously I wasn't really like, I didn't really do my GCSEs in the last year because I was messing around and.
What were you doing messing around?
I was living a mad life. I weren't going to school. I was just, just jumping over the gate and whatever. This from like year 10 is when it kind of went down. But to say that, so I'm listening to these professors and these kind of teacher authorities, and I'm like, right, these guys sound like they know what they're talking about. Again, it's scaring me because saying God's not real. So I'm like, oh, what's going on? And I kind of have my little Ghazali, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I don't know what anything is. I kind of left everything, and I'm just like, I just need to know what this is. So I used to work in a care home for young adults with severe learning disabilities and autism and challenging behaviour. So, and I used to do the night shifts. Well, them night shifts, which once I'd done my work and I'd done whatever, clean the house and it was just 10 hours of me just researching and watching videos after videos, and alhamdulillah, I kind of came to the conclusion that okay, God's real, right? Through even like
what age are we talking now?
Maybe like when it started to like root its. Actually, you know what? No, it might have been a bit later because I was still having the doubts. Maybe like 20. Because I started practicing Islam in terms of, when I say practicing, I mean like I was
taking it seriously,
praying once a day, like, and like, let me just pray once a day, and then I would like, whenever there be events in my life, I'd say, Ya Allah, if you get me through this, I'd up it to 2, and Ya Allah, help me through the situation, up it to 3, and then so by the time I was like 21, 22, working at this care home, that's when I'm like, it's starting to. In fact, I can even like pin it to like one specific night. So we took the kids to this kind of a holiday home, and then I was the night staff for the thing, and then I'm going on and then it literally just like hit my heart, and I was just like, oh my God, it's actually true, like God is actually real. And it sounds kind of like something you can be taken for granted as someone as a theist, but it's like, no, when that moment really hits you and you go, God is real.
When you say God is real, like that moment of epiphany that you had, is it God is real, meaning there is an entity that is of God, or is it the God of Allah is, or the God of Islam?
It was kind of both, you know, because it was like, even though I wasn't necessarily searching about Islam on that level, because I feel like as soon as I worked out God was real, I was like, okay, it's obviously Allah there.
Okay, that's what I meant. Okay,
like, that's what I meant. But then I still did a lot of research into the other things, Judaism, Christianity. Again, this other, I don't know what their faith is called, but I know they're called gurus, and they talk.
Did you find anything in the marketplace convincing other than Islam at any time?
Yeah, so these guys, which I can't think about what their thing is called. Again, I know.
Give me the name of one of them.
So one guy is called Mooji, Mooji,
Guru
and he is he's actually from Jamaica, but then he adopted their sort of faith. But I don't know what it's called. Another guy's called Adyashanti.
Is this the guy?
Him.
Parents, Jamaica, Mooji. Mooji's like it's good like their own website. Mooji.
He's got his branding.
He's a Jamaican it's a Jamaican spiritual teacher based in the UK. He gives talks satsang.
Yeah, is that the faith?
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Is it called satsang? Yeah, because Adyashanti is the same
Papa
guy.
G, Sri Rama. Oh, them will follow them Hindu people. Them Hindu gurus.
But is it like an offset of
it's
not really Hinduism, is it?
Yeah, but it's an offset. It's from that tradition.
Okay, right. So I was looking into that, the spirituality of that, the oneness of everything. So that was very, that called me a lot. But then I realized as I was kind of looking into that, there was no structure. It was just like everything's just one, and we're just floating in.
There's no routine.
Connected with consciousness. I was like, that's nice for moments, but it's like in terms of getting through my everyday life,
the do's and don'ts.
It doesn't really feel like that's, and it's also not taken into like. So how do I apply that to like finance in the world?
Did you incline towards Guru Mooji and these guys because of the Jamaican heritage?
No, because he's like because all the other guys are like, some of them are white, like some white from America. Yeah, so it's just anyone really, but it's more so like the lack of sort of structure and concern for not just a person, but just like, you know, society. You know how like Islam is everything. It's a whole package. Yes, it has spirituality. Yes, it has law.
It's a holistic. It's a holistic, complete.
And it's like, you know what I'm saying. It's almost as if it's like made by God for humanity. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't that long before once I'd worked out God was real, I was like, okay, Islam is the way. Then I was posed with the problem of like, okay, now what side of Islam do we go to now? And then these same nights that I'm working on, you know. I'm working at this place. I guess you would say, like, I just thought Salafism was just default Islam. You know, when you press factory settings and you reset something, I thought this is it. What, you know, everything I've been brought around sounds like this. It's only when I would start to listen to people, not by my own will, and they would like, one would contradict the other one teacher. And it's like, well, unless I become a scholar? How do I know who's right? This person says this, and I go, well, he didn't say that, and then makes it even worse. He says, oh, don't listen to him. And then he says, don't listen. Imagine, what are you going to say if your mum says, don't listen to your dad? Your dad says, don't listen to your mum.
Just a quick one. So
it's difficult.
100%. Is your mum and dad still alive?
Yeah.
Are they still together?
No. So he left when I was 6.
Okay, so the Islam that you had in the house with your mum, what did that look like? Was it forced on you? Was it imposed on you? Was it stuck on you?
Almost non-existent in terms of there was no mum didn't tell us to pray, not to say that she didn't care about it, but it was very much you
bro, it's
you
legit
did this by yourself.
Yeah, bro, I say that to you because many South Asians, Bangladeshi, Pakistanis, Gujaratis, bruv, it's drilled into us since young, like it's like a robot coming out of a factory. There are certain things you have to do, meaning there's no negotiation. Ramadan, Jum'ah, certain holy days. So it was imposed.
I think there's a good side. There's pros to that and cons to that.
Yeah, of course, 100%.
Pros of where it's like it's just
it's conditioned. It's just conditioning.
And then they obviously are good things.
The bad thing is that you just think that is the Islam and there's nothing else.
Also, it just becomes a thing like, oh yeah, you go to this mosque on Friday.
Yes, sir.
Not that it means anything to your heart.
Why Jum'ah?
Oh yeah, we stop eating in that
absolutely.
month.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. And then it just becomes a culture thing.
100%, bro.
So I don't even know if it's good or bad. I see the wisdom in the kind of the way that I was kind of, or me and my brothers and sisters were kind of raised by.
How many siblings are you?
So I got 2 that live with my dad in Spain.
Yeah.
And then I have my brother and sister live in the UK, but my sister's in Qatar at the moment, and my brother's here. So yeah, alhamdulillah, and but we could, with that thing of being able to approach it by ourselves, it just gelled more. And
of course it would, bro, because you went on that journey to be convinced of Allah's existence
100%,
and him being one and him being worthy of worship. We didn't have that privilege. We were told we're Muslim, we're different to everyone else, we worship Allah, we love the Prophet ﷺ, and these prayers you have to do and you have to read the Quran, right? So generally up until a particular age, bro, even deen, the way I understand it now happened in my 20s, bro. Do you understand? The halal, the haram, the differences, the nuances, all of that happened. That weren't taught to me by my parents. That weren't taught to me by my local.
And then because I don't even know how I feel about it, because like I may even feel more positively towards it, saying no, this is definitely a good thing. It's not like, oh, let's take all that away and just let all the kids find it, because I went through a lot of bad situations and bad parts of my life that maybe I could have avoided if certain things were installed to me. I may have found the meaning of them or the inner realities of them later on, like why do we fast, why do we pray, but is it better to not do that or not install that into a child and then let them? So I feel like alhamdulillah, I'm a father now, so it's like I'm definitely not going to be like, do your own thing, because
there's dangers to that as well.
I'm not going to do your own thing, and it's going to be like, why is she in my house? This is how your dad lives.
Alhamdulillah.
This is how I live my life.
100.
Right? So why should here you're doing this? When you're out, you can, when she passed a certain age, whatever, it's over to you now. You can have that responsibility, whatever. But I'm not going to be like, I'll just figure it out. And there's all these. No, you want to. As you're a child, you're a sponge, innit? You're looking up to see like what's the way of the world. Obviously, you're going to make your own decision, but you are very susceptible to influence.
Absolutely.
So if you have, alhamdulillah, like hopefully like a strong male role model living his life in a certain way, it's like, no, I'm doing what dad's doing. I'm like, whatever he's on, I'm on.
That's normal.
And there's so many people came to Islam like that, not necessarily through like, oh, well, this scientific miracle of the Quran. It's like,
no, imitation.
Whatever you're on, I'm on that. Like, was it when in fact I was listening to a Shia talk the other day, and they were talking about Imam Ali, of course, and they were saying like, obviously when he was martyred, he passed the water to the person that
I'm not what Imam Ali,
that when he was passing, like there was water, and then he passed the water to the person that killed him. That's what they were saying.
I'm unsure of that narration.
Let's say it was real. The person, they would say, oh, whoever the people around Imam Ali at the time was like, well, whoever is the lord of that, a person that would do that, I'm on what they're on.
Okay.
The Prophet, even let's use the Prophet as a better example. This acts of kindness he would show to people that would, where it would be the one woman that was throwing dirt on him, and then he would respond a certain way.
Absolutely.
when he checked on her that time that when she didn't throw it, it wasn't like, wait, before I take Islam, can you just give me a 10 thing? Like, no, my heart has recognized what's
100%.
within you. And it's like, well, obviously children and we all work the same way. It's like, there's people in our lives, which alhamdulillah for me as well, I have like, I don't even call them people. I have beacons of light in my life, alhamdulillah now. I don't even need them to break down something to me or teach me something. I could just watch them live in Senegal, Mauritania, wherever it happened to be. I'm like, this is it. You know what I'm saying? And when you live a certain life and you've kind of been through life as well. I mean, I'm young. I'm 30, so I know I've got a lot to go, but I've seen a lot at the same time. And you see the way humans are and the natural way that they're normally inclined towards. And then you see something completely different. It's like, wait, hold on. Why are you on that? And then you're trying to work out, like, is it for money or, okay, not money, or is it status? No, that doesn't make sense. It's like, so what you know what I'm saying? Your brain's asking questions like, oh no, you're just really that guy, or you're just really that woman, 100%. That person of Allah. And it's like, 100%. Oh, okay. So when you see that, inshallah, we can be that for our children.
Inshallah.
You know,
you're talking about the people who are just a living manifestation of Islam.
Wallah, yeah. You're a true Khalifa on this earth of Allah.
Absolutely, my brother. I'll tell you something, right? You know, born Muslims take for granted the fact that you're born into a Muslim household. Yeah. Even if we talk about pre-modern times, pre-globalization, you'd be born in a land which is most likely 90 to 95% Muslim. Yeah. The laws and the values are Islamic. Yeah. So therefore, and you're going to madrasa and stuff like that. So you're already being institutionalized to believe that this is your deen and then and stuff like that. Yeah. In the West, however, because of the things that you've just described, I think that kind of taking it for granted is changing now because of the hard push from the atheists with the whole kind of liberal woke pro-LGBTQ stuff happening. I think born Muslim parents now are thinking, you know what? I don't think we can outsource our religious teaching to our children to the Imam Sahib now. I think hifz and tajweed, we need to do a bit more now. They need to know why Allah exists and stuff like this. And I think that's actually becoming a priority now because we took it for granted for so many years.
I think everything obviously affects the next thing.
So
I 100% see even the way the world is today, like everything you mentioned, the whole agenda and this. 1,000,000% I see the wisdom of that, the way that Allah's working, because it's like, you've lived a life and maybe you hadn't needed to even when you think about 9/11, obviously I don't really have a concept of what Islam looked like or the way Muslims were before that, because really I was too young. I was like, whatever.
If I was in year 9 and you were 5 years younger than me, you'd be a little kid.
I remember coming home from school and then mum was sitting us down and saying, listen, yo, life's going to change now. And I was like, bro, what happened?
She went wrong.
Yeah, she was like, no, this from now, it's peak. Like,
she went wrong, bro.
But then even maybe all of them Muslims, they might have been living their life on, like, you know what I'm saying, like cruise control or whatever. Like, now you got all these people attacking you saying, what
and asking questions.
Yeah, and then you don't know because you've been living your life like, oh, whatever, praise. Like, they're like, does your book say you like to kill people? And then now you got to learn. Now the situation we're in now with the agenda, now it's like,
it's forced us to
the same situation.
Yeah, it's forced us to basically know the religion.
Yeah, and it's like, and you're seeing things on social media, you're seeing things on the news that you don't like and you're opposed to, and it's like, and so you're pushing against it. But then at the same point, I guess you have to sort of question yourself, like, well, why am I opposed to this? And what, like, does the way that I'm choosing to live my life through Islam, like, what does that say about it? These conversations, especially like with like even with the whole Red Pill movement and everything, so many people are asking a lot of questions out because that relaxation and chilling and it's over now. You gotta, like, you can't just do that because you're gonna get either your children are gonna get swept up by it and you're just gonna watch them go whichever way they go. You're gonna get swept up by it if you can't be relaxing, chilling no more.
Alhamdulillah.
So it's I see the wisdom in how things are going on.
100%. Where did Nasheeds come into the equation?
So
were you doing music before Nasheeds?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay.
Music's like
that were you doing that haram type music, yeah?
Yeah, 100%.
Rapping, drilling.
Not. I was never on the violent.
Grime? No, not on the violent. It was more on a love thing.
No, like it's more just like kind of like just normal rap, like chatting about girls, drugs, like things like that. But my dad is a musician, so he's all my life, that's all I've ever known. Even when I was like 4 or 5 years old, running on stage with him singing, he would perform like Motown music, so like the Temptations and the Drifters and like the golden days. So that was my kind of exposure to music, and then I would obviously sing as well. Then I would go on stage and sing with him, so that I was used to the concept of being on stage, people looking at me and performance, that was very natural to me. And then as going into school, So Solid Crew, so that's when they came in. I was like, boom, I learned all the words.
Standard.
And then but I was the only one that could rap them well and learn them. So it's like when I would rap them, it was like it was me doing it. So it was like,
bro, who tried rapping? Then did some Asian brothers try rapping to
no one did it. That's what I'm saying. Everyone would be like, "Oh, that song's sick." They wouldn't try it. I'd be like, "Yeah."
They wouldn't try it.
And they'd be like, "Yo, my God!" And obviously, the vicarious reinforcement. I'm like, that feeling was amazing. That just set me off. I was never going to do anything except that growing up. And then, I was doing that for however long. I started to record my own music when I was like 13, 14. Some of it was like R&B because I could sing, but I always liked rapping more because that was always the better aesthetic. Like it was more manually or whatever. Obviously going through school, went through the whole grime era. Everyone had 8 bars. So that's when I was really out here rapping. But then at the same time, I don't want to take the conversation too far left because you could do a whole thing. But like, that's when I was on the BBC documentary that came in. And I was on like... this thing called The Choir and the Boys Don't Sing, and this choir master came in. He was trying to get all these MCs to be in a choir and do whatever. So then that took my life in like a now I'm like I'm being opened up to the reality of being not a public figure, but like being recognised because I was on like BBC Breakfast and especially back then where we didn't have no really YouTube or social media or even on demand where you can change. It's like everyone's locked in on TV and they're watching it.
Absolutely.
So I felt like the whole country would watch that show, and it did good as well. It got a BAFTA as well, so it did pretty well. So I was getting used to the concept of, after that came out, I was about 30. I was recording it was like 12, 13, and then I think 14 when it came out, whatever. And then so people were like, "Oh, you're that guy," and da. So I was, I was getting open to that reality of.
So were you having that and still messing about in school?
Yeah.
You're a different guy.
Yeah, 100%. That even opened it more because what was the social media site at the time? Bebo.
Yeah,
I'm on
MySpace.
Then, I got, the little love box that you get. I got my page was popping, and so I'm just getting used to that reality of being a public figure, receiving a lot of attention. And now I see the wisdom in that as well, because now it doesn't really mean anything to me. Like I've lived my life at variant levels of that sort of awareness. So I feel like even now, even if it was to go crazy, like because I'm not what's the word? I don't have delusions of grandeur. I don't feel like I'm not relatively that known like worldwide or this like real like proper celebrities. But I do have I understand I still have a significant following. What I'm saying is there's levels.
You got 6 figures subscribed to your YouTube channel, bruv. Come on.
I'm saying there's levels. Like who did I drive past the other day? It was literally yesterday. You watch films? Yeah. Gerard Leto?
Of course I do.
Okay. Well, I drove past my one the other day. So you have a man like him.
Oh, that's different.
Right? You have someone like that, and then it's like, okay, I know that guy. You knew from So I'm saying, but it's because it's been such a slow, incremental thing. I've always been able to deal with it spiritually. I've been able to deal with it where it doesn't get to my head. Okay. Because of the way that Allah's put that foot in me from like 13, 14.
Did it ever get to your head?
Obviously at points, I'm human or whatever, but it was like never, have you ever seen like people implode?
Like,
I don't want to name any names, but like there's certain man like on social media, there's like they are going through a mental breakdown, and it is being recorded
and it's being seen. Yeah,
it is the worst combination ever.
100%.
Social media, millions of people there, and you're also your life is just connected
Britney
to that.
Spears, it happens to famous people all the time. It happens to famous people, and it happens to prominent art and people as well.
Yeah, of course. And that's one of the things that I'm scared about the most is delusions of grandeur. It's being small, but you think it's on a mad level, and you think, like, you know what I'm saying? It's never ever. The only time it would ever get even remotely whatever on top for me is if I went to like a Muslim, what's that thing they do on light upon light.
Yeah.
If I went there, everyone's Muslim. All right, I'm probably gonna get. But on a normal day, bro, it's not that deep at all. Like I might get stopped once a day or once or twice a day. That's it. All of that just to say is that I see the wisdom in Allah placing that in me from that age, where it doesn't really excite my nafs in a way which maybe is someone if that went from relatively unknown all of their life, had a viral moment, and now they've shut up to whatever. That's very damaging spiritually.
So what you're saying is that because you shared the stage with your dad at a young age, you had people looking at you, applauding you.
Yeah.
When that time came yourself, it didn't affect you as greatly as it did others. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When did it become a conflict of issue from a spiritual point of view? The music that you were making, and then the transition you made to what was more appropriate to your religion?
Yeah.
When did that happen? When that fork?
I think that again, it's always a very slow, and I guess it's something to say about the way the Sunnah of Allah, the way that He works with you as well, is everything's very slow and incremental. It's never like, it's not, when you think about significant changes in your life, like how did you get to here to here? Was it like, oh, I remember that one night and then everything changed? It's like, no, even if there was one significant night, it was probably that happened and then slowly and slowly and slowly, and now you're whatever. So with me, I guess I always had this thought in the back of my head, maybe when I was like 13, 14, like I would only ever truly be happy or content or this. And it's like, it's so weird. I could literally envision this person that it was me, but I could see the life they were living. I was so happy there. And it was one of Islam, living Islam day in, day out, becoming, obviously it looked a certain way. I thought, oh, I was going to wear a thobe every day. And I thought that, whatever, there was little things that were going to be, but ultimately it was about when I dedicate my life to Islam, I'm going to be happy, and until that, I'm never going to get it. And I think that tied with just like, you know, general life moments of things going wrong and and etc. etc.
Did you ever look at the music you were producing and feel that this is something maybe Allah would be displeased with?
Of course, yeah. There's always that level of guilt. Like even everything I was doing, like I always had guilt. Always, there was never really a time.
Which is a sign of a Muslim's iman.
Yeah. But like I said, I didn't really have any knowledge about then or knowledge about anything really. But whenever I do something wrong, always an immense amount of guilt that would just sit with me. And I knew that, I think I was listening to a talk and then they gave a really good analogy, actually. It's still like good today to use today. It's like, you know, when you start a car and then it's like, but it's not starting, so like, if you could, there's only so many times you can do that before you flood the engine. And it's like, you might listen to a talk, you might listen to, you know, a khutbah, your friend might tell you something and it will ignite your heart a little bit. You go like, oh, like, because that's your heart connecting with it. But don't take for granted that you're always going to have that, because there might be a time where you're just ignoring that for so long. Someone gives you a reminder. You go to listen to a lecture on YouTube because it's dead. Your heart's dead. You left it too long. The blackness took over it. And I heard that. I was like, blood. I'm not trying to let the air. I was like, whoa. I don't know how many ignitions I've got left. I was like, I should probably
before things flood.
Yeah, I should probably do something now just to keep it. And I think that's when I started like praying once a day, like I say, when I was about 16. And then, yeah, it's kind of from there, it's kind of just slowly increased like what I was doing and the more spirituality, and I was adding on top of it. The music, of course, is a big problem. There was a time when I did stop it completely. But anything that's done in extreme, it don't last. Like I'm even seeing like, people on social media again that are really extreme, like, oh, this is haram and and then you see them now and having a breakdown. Like, you know, it's called the burnout, isn't it? Like you can't go that hard for that long and think you're going to be able to in any field. You can't.
For most people, it's not sustainable. For most people, there's exceptional cases, but when you go all in on something, the likelihood of you burning out is very high.
Yeah.
Simply because you can't sustain that high level of passion and zeal and energy for anything, you know. And then because your passion starts to go down, and then because obviously it's difficult, but you still have the same ideology of what's right and wrong. You see yourself as like a hypocrite. So it's like, I'm not gonna like slowly go down. I might as well just go the whole way. I might just pack it
just straight back 100%. To that. And it's like, you know, Shaitan is like, he's so clever and he has so patient as well.
He's the
like, don't I got time. It's the one thing I've got on earth. It's time. There's one thing you ain't got. We know that you're in loss, but me, I got all the time in the world, so I could take my time. And it's about, you know, using wisdom and learning from teachers to understand the plots and how Shaitan will use that against you. Just because you're practicing and if anything, that excels his efforts towards you even more. The fact that you're trying to, you know, make your life better, or it's like, okay, you could do that, but I'm going to make you do that. So I know eventually you're going to either like put off all the people around you from Islam. None of you're going to make Islam distinct to them because of the way that you're acting. And then eventually you'll leave it as well. So yeah, you're making my job easier. Like, like that's why we ask for, like, you know, mustaqim, like Sirata Mustaqim, like it's the balance path. So I'm saying it's the middle, it's the balance path. It's not the extreme. 100%. Even Allah is telling the Prophet if he was harsh and then they would have run away from you, regardless of all the truth he was coming, regardless of all the wisdom. It's like if he was harsh, they're gonna run away.
Now, there'll be some watching, many, whatever you described. I'll be watching this. Hold on, Khaled's talking about he left one type of haram music for
To go to another
Now,
one.
what's going on here? Like for some, it'll be like you didn't go from a haram to a permissible. You went from a haram to maybe a lesser haram or something. I don't know.
Well, really, I mean,
Your critics.
there was a period of time where I guess they would have been happy with me when I was doing vocals only.
Yeah.
So initially, when I stopped the music, when did I start my YouTube channel? July 2015.
Because you had a vocal only stage.
Yeah.
Then instruments got introduced.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And from what I recall, the big hoo-ha online was more so from the nasheed that you did in the masjid in Birmingham.
Oh, there was loads of other ones as well. I mean, that was a big one.
That was a big one.
There was loads of. I think even just when there was when I first started to use.
I remember Ali Dawa years ago made a video as well.
That was, Well, I think that was more just me using music.
Yeah. But I remember these little snippets from years ago.
I had loads of moments. I had loads of highlights. Yeah. So just the first.
What was the first highlight?
Just the first talk about how I went from what they would have considered to be permissible and fine to that, because it wasn't just like this is boring, I'm gonna, because I lost so much much bread from making that transition, which a lot of the comments say,
they'd say
they sold out.
People say the other way around.
Exactly. But who was I getting booked by? All these thingy organizations, like conservative organizations, and obviously it was like, what's the thing? I had like a monopoly over the market because no one else was doing it at the level I was doing it at. Yeah. In my opinion. So I was just, I was Kate, I could charge whatever I wanted to do. As soon as I did the music thing, they were dropping like flies. And it was that point I had to realize, if you're sincere and you really believe that this is permissible and okay to do, then you can't keep benefiting and profiting off an image that people think about that you are, but you're not that. And obviously that's just me. Obviously someone could put that aside and continue to make the money, which is whatever. But for me, I'm an artist, so I'm sensitive. Like, I have to do what I believe is right, even if and like I say, it affected me financially.
So when you were doing vocal only, what would widely be deemed as permissible, and you had like all the gigs at the massive Muslim charity events and
around
stuff
the world
like that,
as well, Australia, Toronto, America, everywhere.
So as you were smashing those out, how did the move to reintroduce instruments, how did that happen?
Obviously was still studying and really going in on the deen at that point, so I'm just studying and hand in hand as I'm making the music. I'm also vlogging at the same time, so I'm making videos and advising people and stuff like that. And then what would happen was, and you know what, I'm actually going to blame the Muslims for this, because it was, and these conservative Muslims, it was your fault that I got to this position. I'll explain why. Because even the vocals only wasn't good enough. They were like, oh, it sounds the same as music. It's haram. Now, I don't have a lot of knowledge at this point. So every time someone's
saying that the voice is imitating instruments,
all that kind of stuff, and the beat, and it gives the same thing, and So with me, with not a lot of knowledge, I'm scared. I'm thinking, because obviously anything that you're saying is haram and it's the pleasure of Allah, I don't know. I'm just going to take your word for it, especially if you look the part and you're dressed the part and you're quoting Arabic hadith and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, yep, this sounds right. Well, I'm obviously going to look into it and be like, okay, you say no if it mimics this sound. So I'm looking into it. Again, I wouldn't have looked into it if everyone had just been like, this is great. Like, vocals only, this is such a great alternative. Which the majority were, but there was still like a 20% or whatever of people that were saying this is wrong and don't do this, which caused me to look into it. And then the more I'm looking into it, because the more these comments, and as I'm getting bigger and the views are getting more on my videos, the more I'm looking into it. And obviously, you're always going to say I have a bias because it's what I do for a living, and I was a musician, so obviously I'm going to want music to be halal. What I was going through in a period of that time was my thing. This, like, again, my crazy mental breakdowns and still having these existential crises, even though I know what I know to be true now, God being real and da-da-da.
Why do you think you were having those?
I feel like it's just a lot the way that Allah kind of made me. I don't know, like, it's just, some people are just deep thinkers. I used to think it was a curse. Like, I was like, Allah, I wish I was just like, these oblivious people just going through their life, stressed about bills, and they just do not deep anything, because you seem like it's so much happier for you to, it seems that you are so much happier than I am, because I'm in the situation, in Tesco, and I'm thinking about what is the reality of eternity. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I don't want to be thinking about that. But it's like that was a last pull to me, because these thoughts would not leave me alone. Again, so I'm battling with this as my kind of nasheed career was growing. I'm battling with these. So that's why I'm still reading, I'm still learning, because I'm still yearning for more knowledge. So to add to that was also the thing, I also don't want to be doing this as if this is haram as well, the vocals only and the beatboxing. And the more I'm looking into it, the more I'm with my manager at the time, and then he's helping me sort of like
Was he
In
Muslim?
fact, we actually
Was
started.
he Muslim?
He used to work with like Human Appeal and Mahazani,
Okay.
these kind of people. So
Okay.
that's why we kind of connected. He's not my manager anymore, but alhamdulillah, still a really good close friend. And we actually started to do a documentary. We're going to make a documentary about like music being halal haram. We got scholars from one side and we got scholars from another side, and we're just going to like put it out as a neutral thing and let people decide for themselves, because that was the research that we were doing, and then we arrived at our conclusion. We thought, let's do that for the people as well. I forgot why we didn't actually complete it. It was more so I felt, and maybe this was a selfish thing, I felt like, no, I grinded and I strived to get this knowledge. I'm not just going to put it on a plate for you lot just to be like, oh, no, I really wanted to know this answer. So, and I do think there's a hikmah, there's a wisdom in why it's a grey area. I feel like it'd be very problematic if it was like, yeah, it's halal. Same why it's also problematic or it's completely haram. Like, I feel both, there's that grey area is necessary to approach it with a sense of hesitancy and to know that, okay, we've got to be careful here. Just like, same with social media, being a public figure, all these different things, like, yeah, you can't just be out here, you got to be careful with this. And it's 1,000,000% something to tread carefully with. Music is like, you know, it's the ultimate level of like the nafs and fame, and like it's very, very dangerous territory, and I don't think it is for everybody. But in terms of listening to it, consuming it, again, I think that's a different thing. But I just wanted to understand: is this categorically haram? It's so clear. From what
Is it haram like alcohol? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm saying.
Or like pork?
Who's out here eating pork going, actually, well, there was an opinion. No one. Who's out here sipping Henny going, oh, well, actually, nobody. You know what I'm saying? Because Allah made it clear. Why is this issue not as clear?
So let's let's go into it a little bit, right? So you will have the opinion, which is that any instrument besides the duff is haram, right? That opinion has its precedence. It is a strong opinion. It has a huge following. It has classical premise, and it has prophetic statements to back it. Then you have the introduction of stringed instruments. So then the scholars have spoken about your violins, your guitars, your harps, and all those kind of stringed instruments, which Prophet ﷺ also explicitly spoke against, right? And the reason why I'm talking about the various approaches to this music topic is that you're absolutely right. There is a grey area. Now, the grey area, I've heard classical and contemporary scholars talk about in terms of it being a distraction from prayer. Promotion of lewdness, haram and fahsha. So not promoting like zina, alcohol, drugs, violence, anything that's clear-cut haram. I asked Sheikh Asrar before you came, I goes, what about the music which is about love and where it makes you think about your wife or like women? He goes, it's to do with the explicit nature of it or the implicit nature of it, you have to understand, But also, it is also the imitation. So imitating kuffar. So imitating those who, so you've got a type of nasheed, and you're imitating those kuffar who have those music, but they are promoting the haram stuff. So I've heard.
Wait, are you talking about like a cover of a song that they've done, which is, or you talk about just the fact that you're doing music and they also do music?
No. So let me get. So what I'm talking about is, you've done a nasheed. It's got a certain beat to it. It's got a certain vibe to it. Right. It's got a certain bop to it. Right. And even the way the nasheed artist himself is flexing. Is somewhat imitating, or it can be argued is imitating the mainstream rapper.
I think what you would say just to that point there is like, at what point do you draw the line of this is not the actions of the kuffar like this, because then this is inherently a trait that they do, as opposed to this is a human. For example, again, because I feel like there's a lot of.
Can I give you an example?
So
one example would be how it is synonymous. By the way, I've never seen a nasheed artist do this, by the way, but I'm saying as an example, if a nasheed artist was to do a nasheed in a particular style and have his jeans lowered, or wear certain garms,
but even say that, so the jeans lowered and the clothing, is that is that
Imitating kuffar.
no, no, like, these hallmarks, is it based upon their disbelief that this is why they do that, or is it based upon their cultural
culture? Can't it be mainly
as
culture?
to, for example, so obviously culture, then
But-
obviously
but-
you would
but-
say the area that they were born up in. So someone living in Compton, for example, and it's like this is the way that they dress, and this is at what point? Because I feel like a lot of this.
So are you saying a Muslim nasheed artist from Compton
Yeah.
who does that
I mean-
would have to be seen differently because that's where he or she's been raised? He's been raised.
I would say you have to take into context, like where are they coming from? Because the imitator, because if that's who you are, you're not imitating anything. That's who you are. That's the people that you adore. That's the I forgot what the kind of Arabic term. Like
okay.
this is the way of your people.
So you're saying certain things are urfi. So like urfi is in the sense that I'm Jamaican blood and this is how we do things.
Unless
right?
I put what's that thing that the Jewish brothers wear?
The kippah.
Yeah, that is because we are Jewish. So that if you were to do that there's no explanation for that except other than this is something that we do as part of our deen, and then you do that as, let's say a nasheed artist was trying to like build bridges or whatever, and he made a song like that. No, bro, take it off your head, bro, because that is what they do for their deen and which is 100% against Islam. Now when you get into these kind of small kind of the different matters like the level of the genes, or again I think a lot of this kind of language and terminology is race, it's cloaked in racism in terms of like, you know, because I've so many comments about the way that I move. And again, it's not a majority of the comments, but like, oh, he's moving like a thug. That's interesting that you see that the way that I'm moving is like a thug. It's like, because what do you think a thug is? And you know, we know. What
I'm actually happy
is.
why we're having this conversation,
Yeah.
because the next thing is going to be, we spoke about what into black culture.
Transitioning. Yeah.
So and let me be fair here, bro. Just in case I've not explained myself, because I don't want to come across any way.
Yeah.
When you've listened to, and bro, and what I'm about to say may have racist undertones, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive me for my ignorance if it does come across. Bro, man grew up listening to Tupac and Biggie.
Yeah.
There's 5 years between us, bro.
Yeah.
We went for the whole Dizzy Rascal, the Soul Solid crew.
Yeah.
We went for Roll Deep, all of that.
Yeah.
All of that, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, I'm just taking it as an anecdotal example because we're from the UK. You and I are from the UK.
Yeah.
So now, you don't know no Asian rappers, no Asian people are going to be rapping like that.
Yeah.
Because that's not from their culture or their urf. They'll have Bhangra, they'll have Qawwali, they'll have their own little versions of it, right?
I would still say that an Asian rapper brought up in that environment from whether Peckham or whatever, and that's all he's known.
Yes.
He's not trying to be anything else.
I agree with you. Yes. So if you grew up in a hood or in the manner where that is the norm, then that is your culture, right?
Exactly.
But that said, surely Khaled, you have to, okay, may agree or disagree, but surely there are certain cultural associations that are undeniable.
Cultural associations.
That are undeniable. For example, a thobe is attributed to a certain type of people, even though so many different people can wear it. A white man can wear it, a brown brother can wear it, a black brother can wear it, but generally a thobe is attributed to the Arabs, and not just Arab, the Arab of the Khalij.
But also like Christians and Jewish Arabs would wear it as well.
But 95% of the people are Muslims. It's commonly associated for it to be Muslim. You will never factor in the 10% Copts of Egypt and the 5%. You think it's a Muslim flex, right? And then you have the Maghrebis who have like their wider version. You have the Asians who have their Shalwar Kameez version. You have the Nigerian brothers who have that lovely little fitted version. So what I'm saying is that there's certain things, whether you want to be nuanced about it, it is associated to a particular type of industry.
That's why it's weird living in the West, because what's our thing? We don't have it. We don't have it, unless you want to say suits, but like no one's out here wearing really like.
I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is that
because if we were having this conversation in Pakistan, like I should be wearing the what's it called, the
Shalwar Kameez.
Like because that's just part of our people. Everyone's wearing
but
it.
So much of our dresses, for example, my older brother, like, growing up, bruv, they were heavily influenced by Jamaican culture. My brother, we listened to Shabba Ranks and Barrington Levi, and you know what I mean, old school, right? The way the man dressed, the way the man even spoke, right? There is no reason for any South Asian to speak like that, other than the fact that they were influenced by the people or the hoods that they were growing up in. But what I'm trying to say to you is, hip hop culture. Rap culture, are you saying it's not exclusively black? Or not exclusively associated to African Americans?
No, yeah, of course. These are the founders, and 100%. Is it exclusively associated to evil and sin, and maybe in the state that it's in now, yes, but you can't say that hip hop was
No,
in the 80s and the 90s. Like they were mad wisdom they were dropping on the tracks. In fact, there was even a video that Islam was the unofficial religion of hip hop. So many of these Muslims from America, talking about Allah. And yes, you can say, oh, they didn't have it right, or they were the nation, or da-da-da. All right, if you want to play that game, then don't be surprised when no one wants to come Islam, because you just want to be you want to be play semantics and just like see who can be in the crew or not. And obviously you have to understand the environment and the backdrop as to which the African American people are coming out of, fighting against racism and the thing, coming out of slavery, trying to understand their heritage that they've been cut off from purposefully so that they don't know who they are, all of these different things. And then they have this form of expression to speak out about everything that's going on. So back then, of course, I mean, any hip hop would tell you that, oh, the state it's in now is terrible as to what it was.
Let's talk about Tupac and Biggie.
Yeah, let's talk about the biggest ones.
Let's talk about the NWA era.
Yeah,
let's talk about the West Side, East Side era.
Yeah.
So gangster rap.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's talk about specifically gangster rap.
Okay, that's an offshoot of it, so we could talk about that.
So let's talk about gangster rap,
Yeah.
right? So so I'm not gonna try flex anything, but when you got the hand movements,
yeah,
right?
of course,
and you
yeah.
got certain flexing, right, and
yeah.
certain things happening.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to now forklift that into a Khaled Siddiq nasheed,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you're doing, if I'm out here saying, like obviously, yeah, Allah and all that, and I'm doing specific things like that, it's gonna cause a certain, which I'm never gonna do any like gun sign, doing gang signs, because that is what it is. But the whole forklifting thing, you're also taking a lot of other parts. Like you can't just take away just the gangster part, because there's other things that come with that as well that which is why it looks a certain way, and that is to do with like this, that you being inherently African, you being inherently coming from these sort of neighborhoods and these environments, and so it's hard to differentiate. Like obviously, yeah, if you're doing something like a gun, that's a violent sign. You're trying to intimidate the opposition, so that's a trait that Islam doesn't like, trying to flex in a certain way. Even though a lot of Jahiliya poetry was all about like, tribes are this. And
we kill you and violence.
Like, Jahiliya poetry was mad.
Of course it was mad. But it'd start a war, bruv.
Yeah.
Poetry
and when
back
you think about what they're talking about, what's the difference from drill?
Yeah.
We'll do this. We'll make your mother's
we'll do this to your camels.
We're naming this. Yeah. We're gonna make your wife widows. Then we're gonna take your wife. Yo, they were moving wild. And obviously, and this is the same sort of poetry that
was banned and outlawed,
which was born, which was why Arabic was at such a high level, because they would hang it on the the Kaaba, right?
Yes, they would.
And obviously, so these people that were the masters of it, obviously, when the Quran came down, they were like, oh, we're masters of the Arabic language. This is something that's at a different level. Obviously, we digress, but the point being is, yes,
the forklifting of.
I feel like I have the ability to be able to, and obviously some may disagree, but to see the parts that Islam does not like, or does not coincide with Islam, and leave that out. Now, to say there are times where I've gone against it, and I knowingly know that. I may say a word, I may flex in a certain way, because since I kind of moved away from the nasheed thing and kind of just, I'm in this very weird space now where it's like, it's not that music, but it's definitely not
what
nasheed.
Is that space? Tell me about it.
I don't know. I mean, you tell me. What does it look like? Because I'm in this situation now where I just make music which, what I would say, is on the level as to what's being released today, and I can make that can compete with you. It's not like and I'll play nasheeds in Ramadan. Obviously, my old stuff is normally what gets played in these sort of these religious festivals. But a lot of the recent stuff that I uploaded is sort of crossing the line. For example, I was on so let's talk about drill music, okay? That's the worst type of especially what they're talking about, and even the level that they take it to now, like devil worship and 100%. Really going to crazy levels. I went onto the biggest UK drill platform, which was Press Play, and they did a series, and every drill rapper that you can think of or that's at the top had done a version of the series. It's called Lightwork. I went on that and did a track, a freestyle. And it was called Hellfire. And my intention was, because I just recently heard about a guy that was talking about like, oh yeah, I pray Satan, and I was like, what? So like, do you man even know what you are playing with? There's no way you know the level and the severity of what it is. So there was like an anger that formed within me, because not even for the person that's doing it, but the people that are looking up to them, like, yeah, we need to be savages and we need to go to the. I'm like, no, listen. So the whole track was just about trying to make people fear Jahannam, and there's going to be a day where it's going to be peak. That track did like 400,000 views. Obviously, the audience of that is like, you know, like maybe like 20% Muslim. Yeah. These are an audience that want like a, what do you call it, a bloodthirsty audience that want the savage lyrics.
They want the violence, they want the sex, they want the drugs.
So I've gave them, no, not that, I've give you this, and I'm even visibly a Muslim as well. Like I've got the kufi and I've got the little kifaya as well, and it's you look at the comments. Like obviously some people are like saying like kind of jokes and stuff, but it's none of it's negative. Like, oh, this is bad or this is dead, get it off. It's like, I think the top comment was, I've never been so confused and impressed at the same time. That's like, because at the same time I'm thinking, wait, hold on, what's going on? Because I'm seeing, we live in I feel like we live, especially when we come to Islam, in this idealistic world of like, yes, and what is the level of the thing and of where the clothes should be worn. And when you look into the opinion of and then it's like, meanwhile, we got sisters out here, zina, rampant, like everybody's doing it. And I'm sure the imams and the sheikhs can testify the stories that they're hearing from mothers about their children.
You're talking about misplaced priorities, basically.
1,000,000%. And we're here thinking about, well, can we use a flute or can we use it? I was like, are you not seeing? People don't even believe in Allah. What are you on about? Like about, oh, should we do this and that? And I feel like I was listening to a talk by do you know Sherman Jackson?
Yes.
Professor Sherman Jackson.
Yep.
And he was talking about, it was very interesting. I mean, a lot of it went over my head because like he speaks at quite a high level. From what I took from it, was saying that we don't need to take the debates of the past and bring them into the present moment, because the debates of the past that they were talking about were relevant to the times as to what they were going in. Maybe they had the time to debate about whatever this and that. We have to look at the times that we're living now. Not to say we need to relook at the Quran or anything like that or revisit it. There's nothing like that, right? It's just the same. I mean, I can use a similar example in terms of the way that people are going on about nikah and trying to make nikah really difficult these days. Like, oh, you have to think about this and the meh needs to be this. Meanwhile, what was that meme that went around? Is like, you know, we've made like nikah, so it's just the price of like a Nando's and the cinema day. Yeah. But if you want to do it properly, bro, well, let me not get into this topic, bro. You know how difficult and the hypocrisy of some of it, like obviously I got loads of boys that are unmarried and they're telling me the stories or whatever. It's like they're willing to do it the haram way, like fully like do one of the worst sins of Allah. It's like, oh, we'll work it out, we'll do the tawbah. Try and go about it the right way. Oh, wait, well, you know, obviously we've got to do this. I've got to chat to our parents. I've got to do this. Not to say all of that's irrelevant and forget about it, but it's like, look at what our priority is. Yeah, and I feel so the same for the nikah thing, the same for the situation with music and trying to, and not acknowledging there is and it's the darkest it's ever been, and to just sit and go like that and go like, oh well, no, your children are listening to it, your boys are listening, everybody's listening to it, and they're consuming it and they're being influenced by it. My thing is like, I'm gonna go out and fight it the best way I can.
Have you adopted a fatwa or a ruling from your scholars or from your teachers to say that the music you've done, whether past or present, is permissible?
Yeah. So my scholars are mainly based in, my teachers are mainly based in Senegal and Mauritania.
Inshallah.
And I have like, you know, there's representatives that are in the UK as well that I converse with and whatever, because I don't speak Arabic, unfortunately. Inshallah, I'm learning it.
Same here. Inshallah. Same, my brother.
You know what I'm saying? You're going to unlock a whole side of the deen. I'm just cut off.
100%.
And I'm just seeing a mad party on the other side. I can't get in.
Arabic actually unlocks most of the religious and the sacred texts.
100%. And that's all my teachers tell me that. It's like, every time I meet them, Arabic yet? No.
Yeah.
Okay, so
you, me, and hundreds of millions of people.
Inshallah. And Allah's made it easy for us as well. So inshallah, may Allah make it easy.
Ameen,
but yeah, 100%. But that's what I've kind of, as I've moved on with my career, rather than putting it out there to the public or the masses, like, hey guys, what do you think? I don't care what you think. There's a specific select group of people that I do care what they think, and they will act for me as my authority and like, oh no, you're going wrong. Because whatever field you're doing in, you have to have people in your life that you respect, that you, especially within the deen, and that you kind of put them on a pedestal, and ultimately taking them as your guide. Because you know, you're never going to be able to know. Because I guess the concept is, when it comes to, like, you know, you don't know how to drive a car without a driving instructor. Imagine you're in a car with someone, you say you've got a test. No, I just worked it out. you'd be like,
course.
bruv, pull over, bruv. Let me get. Or what am I going to do? A cataract surgery? Or you know what you're doing? Yeah, no. I've read every book on eye cataract surgery, bro.
I watch kind of YouTube videos
like,
as well.
Move from my eye, bro. Like what was it called? What doctors, whatever thing, gave you the permission to do that? Oh, you got it from this school? Okay, that's a legit school because I know they got it from, and they got it from. It's like, so why would we be any different when it comes to Islam that you don't want to give, hypothetically, your hand to somebody who gave their hand to their hand to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Because that's the only way we're going to get to him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because so he taught somebody, and he taught somebody, and he taught somebody. You got that connection is very. I feel like it's not even a concept that people even think about these days. It's like, if we're trying to get to we want to get to the teachings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and how he meant it and interpreted it. So what else other way you're going to get there from following that chain? I know people from Yemen and like I say, that can name for name. They'll sit there the whole time.
You're talking about the sanad of your teachers.
Yeah. And they'll do the whole thing, bro. It's the most impressive thing. I'm like, raw, like, what's your great granddad's name? You don't know, innit? And this is your own family. These know their teachers. Ibn Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
It's one of the ways in which the religion is preserved.
Yeah, of course. Alhamdulillah. So just all that just to say, that's the people that I've found and that I used to.
Have your teachers ever corrected you and checked you?
Oh yeah.
And how did you feel about that? Have they ever said to you that this particular thing is
don't do that? Yeah. I mean, everything I do is like, I'll go back to my sheikh and say like, what do you think about this? Or and he will say like, he's not happy with this, or don't say this word, or I like this, or sometimes neutral, but it's always that check-in.
Have you ever felt conflicted with
but that's just my nafs, so I know I've got to go over that. Yeah. Okay. Unless I've got a thing, I'm just like, oh, like, are you considering this or I might push back, but it's never to like because I want to be right. It's because I want to just make sure everything's being considered, and then. But if the end of the day it's that, then I'll be like, okay, I won't do it. And I've made like loads of decisions or not made decisions because of what they've said or So even like, we briefly bumped into Sheikh Aswa and he was talking about the incident in the Haram Sharif. Initially, that with that thing, because that went mad, especially in France as well. Yeah,
that's the one, yeah.
In France, it was weird. I went on Facebook. Them French Muslims, they are. When I was clicking translate on them, what they were saying, blood. I don't know if I go back France, but they were going. But anyway, but I was originally going to do that in a church. I was gonna feel like, maybe a cool contrast, like me talking about praying salah, but I'm in a church. Artistically, it may look cool. Asked my sheikh, he was like, no, don't do that. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna just go to like a mosque and do it there, because it's like, if what I am doing I believe is not haram, why would it be haram in a mosque? Like it's not like something's haram in a mosque, but then it's
as in it's permissible for you, but haram in the mosque.
Yeah, like no, the deen is right. It's everywhere. Anyway, so I who did I reach out to? I reached out to one of my friends in Birmingham. I said, a mosque that would allow this, that would allow. He said, this particular mosque, and then so we've got there.
One of the biggest and oldest mosques in Birmingham.
Yeah. To be honest, I didn't really have a lot of knowledge about mosque in Birmingham. I knew it was a big mosque. I didn't know like the significance of it. So he said, so we got there, and then it's like they're young, but I think it's like they're part of the committee or the board. Like it wasn't like any random people. They were giving us a tour. They took us up to the top of the minaret. We went there super high. Anyway, the whole time I'm saying, guys, are you sure? Are you sure about this? Are you sure it's going to be okay? Nah, it's fine. It's not go through. They let us up into the top where we shot the video, and they just left us. They were like, yeah, do it. Tell us when you're done, and we'll go. And I was like, okay, well, this sounds good. Bro, I dropped that video, and then,
everything else was history.
Everything, that was it. And then, like I say, loads of other moments since then, like when I came out with the Still on Deen track. I said I don't get my Deen from Saudi. That was a big moment as well. That went mad in Turkey, by the way. That blew up specifically in Turkey. Like I got like about 20,000 fans from Turkey just from that one track. But I know it would seem like I seek out these controversial. Wallahi, I don't. It's just I just express. It's because
whilst shooting the video in called Sharif, while saying I don't get my Deen from Saudi, are you saying to the people that it was never an intentional ploy?
No, because in terms of what I could do
to cause dramas.
Yeah, I could, especially with such a sensitive community like the
Muslims, you could do a lot.
Well, I could do a madness. So even with the things that I'm doing, it's like Because if you told like a non-Muslim, or like I'm gonna do a music video in a mosque, you'd be like, well, ain't that way you meant to do it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not really a big deal to them, but because we've got this,
yeah.
this whatever it is with the community, especially with the internet and Muslims. I don't know what kind of person it brings out, but it's definitely not the best. Best of us.
Can I at least ask you that when you receive criticisms or when you read these comments online? We're not talking about the ones that are outright slander or like literally swearing at you. We're not talking about that. But we're talking about harshly worded feedback, advice, criticism, nasiha.
Yeah.
How do you see that? Do you see it coming from a good place or a place of hatred?
No, I just see it for what it was. I mean, I've obviously angered this person, and then depending on how well he or she has articulated what they've.
I'm talking about those who articulate it respectfully, but
I mean,
harshly.
I'll always take it into. I'll listen, but then I will normally have a response to whatever it is that they're saying. So whether it be like, oh, I don't know, because it's hypotheticals. I don't know what comment. But let's just say they said something like, does this, do you have no?
Brother, I love you for the sake of Allah, but this video you've made is haram, brother.
Yeah, so I mean,
brother, you're imitating kuffar rappers.
Yeah, so in immediate, I'll be like, okay, it'd be interesting to see what part of the imitation. What's the kuffar part? What Jordan Peterson he always breaks down the word.
What do you mean by that? And what do you mean by believe?
What do you mean by imitation?
What do you mean by God?
What do you mean by kuffar? But it's literally that, because you have to, especially, and I learned this from one of my teachers in Birmingham. Words have meanings, and it's always important when we get into a debate to establish the definitions for terms. Because I could be saying a word and you think it's this, but you hear it and you think it's that. So we're going to be clashing because we ain't got the same understanding. So literally, what do you mean by imitation, and what do you mean by kuffar? Because by
imitation, I mean you are behaving, moving, looking, dressing, and kuffar is non-Muslim. You are So I'm talking about this hypothetical.
Because using that thing, you say, and you see you go to a restaurant, wherever, it's a normal restaurant, bro, why are you behaving like kuffar? Why? You're sitting like the kuffar? Everything will have a reason. And obviously, the people that arrive to these conclusions, the ulama that arrive to these conclusions, they are taking these things into consideration way more than we can. That's why it's always dangerous to start to derive your own opinions from hadith, or it's always best to just say, well, my teacher said that. Like, it's not taqleed in terms of like, oh, this is whatever he says, but it's like, it's much safer to say, because then the ruling is the off you, in terms of you're just following your teacher, because you're not, because that would be the case. It's like, everyone would have to be a scholar then, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to differentiate what's right, what's wrong. Even when it comes to any types of scholars, like, people that just say, oh, these people are misguided, or these people did it. It's like, are they though? Like, whatever group you want to point at, no, because they have access to the same Quran as you. They have access to the same Sahih Muslim and Sahih Bukhari and all these books. They just arrive to a different conclusion. So who's to say that yours is correct? And you will say, this is why. Like, yeah, they're a scholar as well. They speak Arabic. They will hear that and go, no, and then they'll go that. So whose akal is higher?
Are you ultimately saying, bringing the podcast to a close, to an end, are you ultimately saying that, look, I accept that the people who've criticized me in the past and still do over the years, over the various different chapters and episodes and dramas that I've had, I accept that the ruling that they follow, i.e. that what I'm doing is haram, is a ruling and an opinion that exists and one that has validity.
And 100 million %. Okay. Yeah.
Is the counter you're saying is about, I also follow an opinion that has...
It's different, yeah. And if I could get one thing out of this whole podcast, out of our whole mission, is just for people to accept that there's differences. Like, and you can choose to do that. I will never in a million years, if a guy comes up to me and says, I don't listen to music, say, not tell him to listen to music. Never. And on the opposite, the same. I just want, and I know that life and your Islam will be better when you realize the expansive, like even the term Sharia, it means like a wide encompassing road. Tariqah is a narrow path that people can choose to take upon themselves. But the Sharia, there was that story of that Egyptian scholar, and he was brought to a land, and they were saying, oh, it's bare haram going on here, and we need you to come here to kind of fix everything. He went there, and he couldn't see any haram, because he said, oh, maybe they're following the opinion of so-and-so, or maybe that's the opinion of that. Or maybe the increase of your knowledge of Islam, you understand that it's such a encompassing and I don't want to say like flexible, because the parts that are non-negotiable are non-negotiable. No one challenges that. But you can live like a normal life, and you don't have to be striving and struggling and fighting against this and You can live, because the ultimate goal is not that. The ultimate goal is Allah. and his Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And the shaitan is going to do anything in his power, in his path, to make you forget that and work and work on something else. Because the ultimate reality is inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi rajiun. We're coming from Allah and we're returning to Allah. That is the reality. And if you're getting taken away by that, by getting caught upon these different things and what's the color and can we do this and not to say that these aren't, we should never talk about it and they have no place, because they do. 1%. But let's look at the times that we're in, what we're being faced with, and physically being you're physically being attacked with, and are we going to fight back at any point, or are we just going to like keep arguing amongst ourselves? Because when you talk about unity, I mean, I'm going to end it on this point as well. Talking about unity within Muslims, I just see it as a situation like, let's say I'm Shia and you're Salafi, whatever, yeah, and we're having a mad debate, and I'm saying things about this haram, I'm getting you vexed, you're saying this, and getting me vexed. Then a guy walks in a room and says, non-Muslim, it says, yeah, what, you follow that Muhammad, yeah, and goes to say something. Are me and you not going to team up straight away and
of course,
ban up this guy straight away? You know what I'm saying? If he comes with better people, me and you are like that straight away. We forgot about what we were beefing about. We have an actual enemy in the room trying to insult our beloved. We're going to khalas this guy. This is the situation.
So long as the brother that I'm debating's on that same tip, though.
What, that we love Muhammad? So
Yeah,
of course. I'm saying that I'm Shia, so that's of course, 100%.
Because look, there's some people, due to their deep hatred, I'm not talking about any specific group, due to their deep hatred with their fellow brother, sometimes they will side with the kuffar. Not on side.
I would say that's because they're not seeing. I mean, that's
not on something as great as the status of the Prophet ﷺ.
Yeah, of course.
That's like a red line.
Yeah, of course. But I feel like what we're being faced with today. Are you a man?
Yeah.
Are you even a woman?
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't even want that. Nah, I'm coming for your kids. What? Man, I'm coming for your children, and we're not gonna team up. 100%. But even what's Tommy Robinson on these days? I'm seeing that he's getting more. He's softening towards the Islamic approach
of the LGBT.
What was he on? What was he on before? Yeah, even me. I was at the EDL march in Leicester. I was there front line when he was on what he was on that. And now, and this is the beauty of Allah. Allah can turn anybody. If he was to say he became Muslim, wallah, I would not be shocked. I would be happy and I'd be elated, but I wouldn't be like, oh, what? I'd be like, yeah, I saw this coming. Because he thought that the Muslims were his problem, and maybe he was coming from a sincere place. But now we're seeing this, and he's looking around, everyone's flopping. It's like, is there anybody that's on this? Like, no, we're on this. It's the Muslims. And so it's the wisdom of Allah, and you can see it flowing through everything if you stop for a moment and just look for it. Last
question before we wrap up. What's your interactions been with brothers from the nasheed industry, so the likes of Omar Isa and brothers who adopt the vocals only?
Yeah.
What's your interaction been with those? Has there been any interactions?
Yeah, like a lot of them are friends. Muslim Bilal is a good friend of mine. Saeed, got to think of the names now. Saeed of Faisal Salah, like a lot of them I know, and we're good friends. It's just, if anything, I mean, I don't want to out anyone, but
you don't need to out anyone, but
yeah, they are very. They see what I'm doing and they show a lot of support for it. It's not just like, yeah, well, you're on that, we're not on that. It's definitely not that. It's just anyone that I've met who shows that it's always love and we're just talking about different approaches to what ultimately is our common goal of bringing people back to Allah.
Brother Khaled, it was an absolute pleasure having you on, bro.
Bless him, man. I could do another 2 hours, man.
I'm going to ask you, I don't want to mean to put you in an awkward position.
Yeah.
Could you recite some poetry or something for us?
Oh, wow.
A little anything? Look for the permissible type, innit? Come on, bro.
Permissible type, boy. I didn't even know. Subhanallah.
I know I dropped this on you in the last minute, and you can decline.
You know what? You have to. I'm gonna drop this one, yeah. But the sound team needs to put a little bit of reverb.
We'll do that. We'll do the reverb, inshallah.
So every Friday I go to a dhikr gathering, and we go and we do dhikr together. We do lectures about the deen and stuff, and then I always add my little part. So this is what I do normally.
Bismillah.
Bismillah. It's actually the old nasheed heads will recognize this song. Bismillah. And to further go on, just to preface it as well, the reality that I'm singing about, when I'm singing about it, is the way that I try to connect with it, and people should connect with it, is just knowing that the words that I'm saying, and it's just the same word, is the reality that we're all searching for, and to never get taken away from the purpose or this or different people. Your ultimate reality that you are trying to find is Allah. Okay, and don't let anything take you away from that, as it will try. Bismillah. Allah, 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 سارما وسل الغواني واعتزل ذكر الألغاني والمي بيبي دل هساني واسلم اكتم الدناني الله 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 Allah, 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 Allah. I pray that everybody watching this podcast finds their way to Allah through the guide Rasulullah, who is the straight path and is the path that we are trying to find. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad al-Fatih lima uqliq wal-khatimi lima sabaq nasir al-haq bil-haq wal-hadi ila siratika mustaqim wa ala alihi haqqa qadrihi wa miqdarin azim.
Allahumma ameen, ya Rab. Brother, Jazakallah khairan.
Barakallah feek.
Honestly, it was an honor, and I hope that this is the first of many appearances.
Inshallah, inshallah, bismillah.
Jazakallah khairan.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum rahmatullah. Brothers and sisters and friends, I hope you all thoroughly enjoyed this episode as much as I did. If you are tuning in via YouTube, do remember to subscribe to the 5 Pillars YouTube channel. If you're tuning in on all the audio major platforms, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, Google, and all the major platforms. And until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.